So, mal gucken.
This is the story of a man named...
Die Frage ist, hat der zweite Teil jetzt ganz neue Endings oder wirklich nur diese Bucket-Endings?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
That's the
Stanley
question.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Wenn ich das richtig
No
weiß,
matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his
wird
co-workers.
alles nur, also alles, was das DLC hat, oder beziehungsweise diese Ultra Deluxe Version, nur getriggert, wenn du den Bucket in der Hand hast. Aber das kann falsch sein, weil wie gesagt, ich habe nicht alle.
Ich würde den jetzt eh mal
Endings.
mitnehmen, weil...
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
Oh!
Was hatten wir jetzt gemacht? Ah ja, das Mind Control ausgeschalten haben wir schon, ne? Mit dem Bucket.
Das gute Ending mit dem Bucket haben wir gemacht.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Das heißt, wir könnten jetzt mal das böse gute Ending machen.
Ein böses, gutes Ending.
Naja, wir machen die Gehirnkontrollmaschine an. Und ja. Vielleicht saved uns der Bucket ja auch. Man weiß es nicht. Oh, das ist neu. Oh, das ist neu. Wir müssen ja alle die ganzen Köpfe finden. Oh Mann, ey, stimmt, die Collectibles sind neu.
Stände. Gut, das Pipi.
Roter Raum.
Danke.
So, einen schönen Abend, ne, Herr?
Hallo, hallo.
Dann muss ich auch dem...
Ach, wird das hier gleich abgehakt, welche ich schon hab? Oh, das ist cool. Okay, also Red und Blue, das sind die Türen. Stufen, das wird wahrscheinlich zum Bossraum irgendwas sagen. Also zum... Und ein großer Raum mit Boxen, ja, muss ich mal gucken. Nice. I want to go home. Ja.
Understandable.
Hm.
That's the completionist instinct.
Yeah.
Warte mal. Kriegsfilme sind doch verboten.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, Now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends.
Was?
That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient?
Nein.
That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
Ha, nimm das.
Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all.
back.
Here we go. There. Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
Was war?
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see, I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker. You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
Dieser Etipetete-Raum hier.
Also was.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Ah ja,
Do I look okay?
Ich sehe es nur klein, aber nein.
Bzz, bzz, bzz.
Ach, stimmt, der Raum. Boah, ist das lang her.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck.
Ha!
Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Kann ich eigentlich das Runter-Hochfahr-Ending mit dem Bucket auch machen?
Probably try it.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate.
Ich überlege nur, wie ich
It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up?
Oh ja, neuer
When I was
Bucket.
pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again. The bucket said nothing.
Was? Ist das Nummer 3? Was? Das war beim letzten Mal nicht.
That's jetzt Bucket.
Ja. Komm mit, Mr. Bucket. Wir machen das.
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over. Wow! he said. "The number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life."
Yes.
Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained silent. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3, he got back in the elevator.
Dann hat er 2222 gedrückt.
Mal gucken, was passiert, wenn ich da ein bisschen mache.
Heute musst du noch was sagen, no?
Bis jetzt nicht. Na? Au.
Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly.
Was?
No, said Stanley to the bucket. "You can't go on yet. Not till you understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see. Feel the happiness I feel." He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing.
Der Bucket gibt mir die kalte Schulter.
What an asshole.
Obwohl er gar keine hat.
Bucket.
The bucket?
"Here we go," said Stanley. "This time I'll really show you." He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion.
Oh yeah.
He wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears.
Yes.
The whole time, he looked to his bucket
3.
for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing. The bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all, only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator.
Wenn der mir sagt, ich soll zum Elevator, dann kann ich hier sicher noch irgendwas anderes machen, oder?
Immer doch. Ich war gerade am Überlegen, sah die Grafik von Stanley nicht irgendwie besser aus?
Nee.
Nein.
Nee.
Hat die
Nein,
sich verbessert mit dem Update?
glaube ich nicht.
Ich meine,
Aber weiß ich nicht.
Stanley ist doch schon...
2013 ist es auf dem PC raus.
Genau. 10 Jahre wie viel? Das ist schon 23.
Stanley and the bucket were so close. They'd always been there for one another. Why suddenly could the bucket not connect with this passion of Stanley's?
Weiß
The
nicht.
question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be?
Bucket.
Ich glaube, die einzige Solution ist, dass man wieder nach oben fährt. Und nochmal ihm zeigt, wie schön die 3 ist.
Irgendwann muss er es verstehen.
Ja.
Ah, said Stanley. I know what to do. I know how to fully express this feeling in my heart. He decided right then and there that he would hold a press conference where he would speak to the public on all matters relating to pressing the number 3 over and over. He would elaborate fully on what the number 3 meant to him and why he felt so alive when pressing it. Then the bucket would be able to see his joy through the eyes of others. It would get to see the world react to this discovery of Stanley's. And it would be through the public eye that the bucket would finally understand Stanley's work.
Ja.
Ja.
For months, he advertised and marketed his press conference, building excitement around it, developing and rehearsing it, until it couldn't be refined a single measure further. When the big day arrived, Stanley was as prepared as he'd ever been for anything in his life.
Mhm.
Ja.
Peace, Baby.
3, 3, 3, 3, 3.
Da.
Es sind nicht genug Dreier.
This was it.
Drei.
One last chance to win the bucket over. One
Three again.
opportunity to share a true connection
Three
with a
again.
loved one.
Pizza. Also komm, Buckettel, lass es in dich einfließen.
There was no one here.
Niemand?
Nobody had come to
Niemand?
the press conference to hear Stanley speak.
Hä, beim letzten
To
Mal war da
listen
alles
to
voll.
him talk about what it really
Ja, niemand hat
means
sich für
to
3
press the number
interessiert.
3 on a keypad over and over. He was unloved, uninteresting.
Okay.
He was a failure. And in that moment, Stanley knew that the bucket would never again take him seriously. There would be no connection, no deeper understanding. The bucket merely sat there in his arms, indifferent. And so it began that slowly, over many years, the two of them grew more and more distant. They spoke less and less, neither wishing to state the obvious, that any sense of real respect between them had eroded since that day at the press conference. There would be no more games, no more long conversations about passion and pursuit, only a silence that consumed the space between friends. And Stanley, having for once in his life discovered the warmth and comfort of true companionship, was cast back into the unremarkable normalcy of loneliness.
Wow.
Hat er also wieder angefangen, Lied zu spielen.
So schnell geht es.
Passiert. Aber es war ein philosophisches Ende.
Ja, mit einem Bucket, ja.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
In dem Meeting Room?
Ja, da warst du vorhin. Das
Ah ja. Achso, das ist das mit den... meine
Ja.
The
Aufkleber.
confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Hihi, embrace the bucket.
hoffentlich hat er noch Respekt für dich.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Warte. Achso, ich wollte ja noch, das ist... Ja, wohl. Oder sprengen wir es mit? Ja, machen wir jetzt mal noch die Sprengung mit Bucket. Das Bad Ending. Bad Good Ending. Ja. Stairs, okay. Tja.
Der Boomcloud ist schon...
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Yep. So.
Warst du schon im Klo mit dem Bucket?
Ja, da war ja einer von den Männchen.
Ah, true.
Aber ich kann mal noch mal reingucken, ob ein neuer Spruch ist.
Ja, den hatten wir schon.
Ah, stimmt, den hatten wir schon. Mich wundert so, dass hier jetzt immer zu ist, wenn ich den Bucket in der...
Ist der immer zu?
Nee, es war offen.
Ah, ne, eben war true. Aber.
Oh, jetzt kann ich die Musik mit meinem... Jetzt kann ich die Freude an der Fahrstuhlmusik mit meinem Bucket teilen. Das ist cool.
Also, kennen wir den Partei?
Das hieß Breathing.
This is dead. Almost.
Du bist gerade etwa fast wieder Saban eingeschlafen, oder was?
Nee, meine. Ich hab festgestellt, dass mein Kopfhörer auf der rechten Seite ein bisschen kaputt ist, von dem her werde ich mir da einen neuen stellen. Das ist Trauer.
Oh man.
Oh, ist der am Dancen?
Ja.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Dance suddenly bucket.
mach eine Pirouette. Ui. Okay, passiert wohl leider nichts Neues. Der Aufzug ist immer noch ein Aufzug, einfach nur. Der nirgendwo hinführt. Also, mein Freund und Kupferboss. Ah, warte, das machen wir später.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
Lassen wir mal ausreden.
Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos.
Yes.
It would be with
Auch
him
wenn die Nummer 3
always.
besteht.
The bucket would. And
Oh, mir ist
he
gerade
knew.
aufgefallen, wir sind noch nie
The
durch
two
diesen
of them were
grünen Bossraum jetzt
inseparable.
durch hinten.
At this point,
Ja, ich
Stanley
glaub,
was
da kann
so
man nicht
absorbed
durch.
in the tender
Ah.
spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice
Stanley
the
nicht
keypad
reden
behind
kann.
the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the pin number for the keypad was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck.
Ah, okay, das stimmt.
Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Yep. Straight to the point.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well?
Yeah.
Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter, his one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Bucket full life.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over
diese brauchen wir
another
aber auch
human life. For he and the bucket... But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to
Was?
turn on the
Der Bucket
controls.
war's diesmal.
Stanley gasped in horror.
Oh my
Had
God.
this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could
Diesmal ist
the
gar
bucket
kein
have betrayed him
Countdown.
like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen.
Oh,
Birds. Silly birds.
das ist neu.
The control buttons became active again.
Oh. Schwalben, oder? Können es Schwalben sein?
Vermutlich.
Das sieht aus
Fledermaus.
wie-
Warte mal.
Verdammt, ey, jetzt, das ist jetzt eine Entscheidung, ey.
Oh my goodness.
Stanley
Mango.
flipped
Ah,
through
du
one
schickst
video
es
of silly
so.
birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the
Aber wo
world.
sind die Eulen?
The
Da muss
mind
doch jetzt einer
controls were
hinfallen
only
hier.
a facade
Nee,
to
das hat
disguise
schon
its
gelobt.
true
Oh,
intentions.
shit.
Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best.
Ja.
And Stanley was happy.
Oh, jetzt bist du.
Ja. Hey. Ich war so happy.
Wo sind meine Babs?
Wehe, da
All
hockt
of
jetzt
his
nicht ein Vogel in
co-workers
meinem
were
Bucket
gone.
drin.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
Ja. Home is where the bucket is.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly
auch ein
to his
guter Sticker.
chest and entered the door
Oh, warte
on his
mal.
left.
Ja, wir müssen tatsächlich nochmal links, weil im Keller ist ja noch eine Figur bei den rot-blauen Türen. Laut dem Table hier. Holen wir uns die Nummer 4.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Oh! Aha!
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
You should not sit on our
Da war gerade Ronaldo sein Gesicht im Hintergrund auf diesen...
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these.
Genau.
He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed,
die Musik ist ja krass.
the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground.
Oh ja.
Gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
Der Sprecher wird auch viel Spaß
He rushed
gehabt
forward
haben.
from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley! Find me!
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful.
Oh.
Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Oh. Wäre jetzt cool, wenn ich so ein
This is the
Bucket kaufe.
story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work.
Jeder mit seinem
But on this
Bucket.
particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket.
Mhm.
Of course
shit.
he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
What the fuck?
Backflip.
Back to backflip.
So leicht geht's.
All of
Hoffentlich
his
kann ich das
co-workers
Baby mit dem
were
Bucket
gone.
auch retten, das wäre
What could it
lustig.
mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled.
Ja.
He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around.
Ah,
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
You're just standing there?
ja, da gibt's doch auch dieses Ending. Aber ich möchte wissen, ob der mit dem Bucket da auch was macht. Oder wie lange das dauert, bis da was kommt. Na? Vielleicht weiter in die Mitte? Na komm, Narrator. Sag dein Text.
Ist.
Oh, ich glaube, es dauert wahrscheinlich ein bisschen länger. Dann laufen wir mal nach.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to
Ja,
be.
genau.
Der Bucket weiß, wovon er redet.
Ja, und der Bucket
And here
nicht
it
weiß,
was.
ne?
Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes,
Obviously.
Stanley thought to
Der
himself.
Bucket
Yes,
hat auch seine
perhaps it
eigene
truly was.
Bucketlist.
How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
Wie was hier Bucket sagt.
Bucket.
Der Bucket Palace.
Truly, being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right, then walking to the lounge, then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the bucket had inspired.
Yes.
Perhaps this was where the bucket felt most truly at home, here in the employee lounge. Perhaps it's the only place a bucket can even feel at home.
Oh ja. Wir brauchen hier ein Podest für den Bucket. So mitten da. Oder wir reißen den Teil ein.
Stanley decided to just give the bucket absolutely as much time as it needed to be in the lounge. Clearly, the bucket and the employee lounge shared a special connection.
So gut.
Kann ich ja mal schnell einen Schluck trinken. Na, hast du noch Connections, Bucket, oder bist du ausgebucket hier?
But finally, the bucket was done being in the lounge, and they took the first open door on their left to get back to business. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Oh, good Stanley, I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
Oh mein Gott!
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere.
Ey, das ist mein
The
Bucket.
bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Oh.
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
Ah, die Musik ist back, yay.
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue? Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers. It's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
Not the bucket.
No.
No, don't do it. Not the bucket.
He wants you to...
Was?
He wants you to destroy the bucket. Am I right?
Bis jetzt halte ich ihn noch in der Hand. Jetzt schauen wir mal.
He wouldn't dare to do that.
Ah ja, Schwede. Da unten.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready. Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The Broom Closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
The bucket.
The Bucket Destroyer.
What the fuck?
The Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new
What is
friend.
happening?
For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
You were bucket. Moment.
Hätte ich den Bucket denn überhaupt reintun können?
Don't know. Probably. Somehow. Maybe.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Müsste man ja
What
fast
could
jetzt
it
nochmal
mean?
ausprobieren.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ja, ich glaube, ich renne nochmal kurz
The
hin.
good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket.
Yeah.
Off on another thrilling adventure together. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Oh, good Stanley, I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually. You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fan... Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, I played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue? Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers. Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
Okay. Diesmal geben wir es ab.
A poor bucket.
A poor bucket.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you.
Impossible.
Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
Das klingt voll gut, oder?
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The Broom Closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quick!
Wie bitte?
Das ist ein bisschen weird, dass du halt eine Animation hast, aber nichts machen kannst.
Now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and crush.
Nein, ja, meine.
Maybe. That could be.
Jetzt müssen wir auch mal nur in die Crazy-Welt mit dem Bucket, das ist sicher auch lustig.
The Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation.
Oh, yeah.
You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Immer wenn er sagt, you were, denke ich, dass er happy wird.
So.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time. Where are we going today? The bucket asked.
Yeah.
Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Der Bucket klingt sehr unlikable. Not gonna lie.
Schon irgendwie, ja.
Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Okay.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Ja, wenn der Bucket das sagt. Ist das hier nicht der Raum mit den Cargos? Müsste hier nicht auch so eine Figur sein?
Now pick up the phone,
said the bucket.
Pick up the phone and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Why do I not trust that bucket?
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Oh, aber schönes Haus hier so mit.
Ja, ist schöner als das Original Ending-Haus da.
Hallo Bucket, wie geht's dir?
The Stanley Parallel Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head. Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me. Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
Sagen nur Hater.
Ja.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal. It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it. Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another. Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
He's falling in love.
Oh no. I'm having feelings.
Oh je.
The bucket. No.
Okay.
No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
Oh, you will watch. What will you do, mister?
Oh, okay.
Did you just steal your bucket?
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days?
Er
Centuries?
ist noch da.
Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful. A good bucket. A strong bucket. A humble bucket. A committed bucket. A bucket of culture and distinction. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest, and this was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was it? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo...
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
Wenn dir noch langweilig ist, kannst du noch einen.
Na, verdammt, das muss ich nochmal. Aber wenigstens
All
hat-
of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply... the embrace of an old friend. A weathered companionship that stands the test of time. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better? No, never mind.
No.
The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Konntest du
Said
jetzt
the
da
bucket.
Now ride the
das
lift
Telefon
all the way
auch
to
ausschalten?
the top.
War das
There's something
Telefon?
up there I need you
Das
to do.
Ausstecken können wir jetzt machen. noch.
Stanley did not
Hab-
question
Ja, ja.
why or
Bin ja
how this
rangegangen
bucket was
extra
speaking
erst
to
einmal.
him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket. Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk.
It was a joke. Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket.
Can't you see?
Cat.
Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it. But there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's sitting right here. Let's take a look.
What is comedic timing?
Oh.
What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more
Excuse me?
importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the
In
answer
wie viel?
to all of these
90,
questions is
90%.
yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
Ah, fuck.
Das hätte ich gerne.
Good.
Ich würde es gerne
This saying is a
schicken.
perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence and who very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed, and may Earth reign supreme.
Godspeed.
What happened?
Hey, goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
Okay.
Hä? Das war beim ersten Mal auch nicht, dass wir da wieder zurückgehen.
Doch.
Ah, doch, stimmt
Doch,
mit
das-
dem. Dass man nicht mehr
I
runterspringen
can
kann.
feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now? Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things.
Are we confused?
Very entertained.
Ja,
Sure.
ja, ja.
Still slightly confused.
Ah,
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Oh.
Why is it black?
What? We're back at the phone already? No, what's going on? There was supposed to be several rooms leading up to this.
ja.
There was supposed to be a build-up to this point, a dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land, or not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the two doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp.
I think
I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video again. Yes, surely that will help me improve my... Here we go. You ready?
Mein
When
Sticker
Stanley
fehlt.
and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors,
Stimmt, wenn
they
einer
entered
Sticker
the door on
fehlt.
the left.
Return the sticker.
Return my Sticker.
What? We're
Ah,
back
ich
at the
hätte links
phone
gehen sollen,
already.
scheiße.
No.
Oh, diesmal wurde ich gleich
Here we
zurückgeschickt.
go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left. No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the
Aber du
phone.
hast doch gesagt...
Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this was all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's
Ist das
done.
alte?
The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud?
Why is he so angry?
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison. Yes.
Oh no.
Let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are.
Oh no.
Still not... Is it the delivery? Pale with shame. Pale with shame? Pale... What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so metal, I think I saw it playing guitar.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
I'm getting away from making
What
fun
is he
of Stanley's
doing?
obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes. I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is.
Not really,
That's
right?
what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos.
More instructional videos.
Let's see.
It was a great ending.
Ja. Das sieht anders aus.
Yeah, true.
Mein Aufkleber
Aber
ist wieder
das-
The
drauf.
bucket made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker.
why is
In
it
time, perhaps, he would
like
become
that?
both of those things.
Ist da vorne gleich die Tür?
Ja.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Ha, ha, ha.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this... No. Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top.
Das ist Figur.
There's something up there I need you to
Next time.
do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking
Was
to
machst
him.
du?
It should have
Ich gehe
alarmed
auf
him, of
das
course,
Ding da
because
drauf.
buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about
hier
this
ist eine Figur.
obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
No, he didn't. He jumped.
Mhm.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no
Direkt vor dir.
buckets past this point. Stanley,
Direkt
how
vor
could
dir.
you think it was okay to bring the bucket here?
Das ist seit dem ersten Teil schon,
What if
oder?
the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket?
Aber
I
da ist ein
suppose
Bucket
that
auf
would
seinem
explain a
Bucket.
lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Ganz schön dunkel.
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket?
Oh, na, Pip.
Correct. It is a hologram of
Ha,
a bucket,
ich hab's
not an
gewusst.
actual bucket.
Okay. Have you up?
Item 2. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not
Isn't
an
that a
actual bucket.
bucket? Isn't that a bucket then?
Ja. Eigentlich schon.
3D printed copy.
Item 3. Is this a bucket? Incorrect.
That's
This is
a
a
bucket.
bucket.
I'm sorry.
Scheiße.
I'm sorry, it's a bucket.
What the fuck?
Item 4. Is this a bucket?
Yes.
That's not
Are
a
you
bucket.
hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one. Is this a bucket?
Ha!
Correct. This is a bucket.
Nah, man, I surrender.
Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question.
Yeah.
Both. Gotcha.
What?
Verdammt.
Verdammt. Oh.
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
Excuse me?
Here we go. What happened? Is everything gone?
Ja, weil
Why
alles
did
ist ein
everything
Bucket.
disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket?
Ja, ja, ja.
Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea.
Oh my
good.
God.
Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news.
Sure?
We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
Great.
Ah, das ist ja jetzt... Wie schaffe ich das denn dann, dieses
Not everyone is
wo
so
man
lucky
die
to
Tür
have
immer
a
wieder
bucket,
durchgeht
but
und er
Stanley
irgendwann die
is a
rechte
very
Tür
lucky.
wegmacht?
Stanley clutched the
Wo dann
bucket
auch-
Ich glaube,
tightly
das
to
ist
his
einfach
chest
ersetzt
and
worden.
entered
Wo
the
auch alles so
door on his
verzerrt
left.
ist dann und so mit dem Baby auch. Und
Ja,
meinst,
das
das
ist
gibt's
einfach
nicht?
ersetzt worden. Ja.
Da fehlt dann überhaupt noch jetzt noch was? Wir haben links...
Ja, das Museum, also da, wo du das letzte Mal im Museum warst. Du bist noch nicht escaped. Mit dem Bucket.
Stimmt. Stimmt. Und ohne Bucket müssen... Ah, nee, da war ja nichts, stimmt. Aber es fehlen auch noch 2... Also den einen haben wir ja gesehen.
Ja, stimmt.
Ach, da hier zur blauen roten Tür müssen wir noch.
Ah.
Kamen wir da noch mal hin? Vielleicht ist das hier.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Genau. Und das könnte man auch mit dem Bucket mal noch probieren dann.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Huh?
A very painful death. I'm sorry.
Ja.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death. It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket.
Oh, yeah.
It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
For sure. Bucket.
Welcomes you to the Grand Exhibit.
Take what you learn here with...
Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Ja, Mann.
Das ist jetzt die Bucket-Ausstellung hier.
Ja, guck mal.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
Hey, rude.
Weiß ich jetzt nicht, ob das möglich war,
Inferno
aber
Bucket.
okay.
Der Inferno-Bucket.
Stress Bucket. Coping stress.
Coping strategies. Presented without commentary.
That's true, damit du das richtig enjoyen kannst. Oh my goodness. Okay. Cave drawing. Buckets gab's vor der Menschheit.
Die sind dafür verantwortlich, dass es gibt, quasi.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one.
So unten
It
alles
is
schon
man
angeguckt?
who should kneel before
Ich
the
glaub schon.
bucket.
Ja? Haben wir das Bild mit den ganz vielen Buckets angeguckt?
Denkst du?
Ich bin blöd?
Das hier fehlt noch. Mit
Bucket
2
with
Händen.
two hands. Has never been created in real life. Too dangerous.
Das meinst du?
Yet.
Ja. 25 buckets, I think that's more.
Hä? Wo ich jetzt ein bisschen mehr.
25. Okay, na.
Die
Ist gut,
Musik.
dass das immer kommt, wenn
Ja.
du da vorbeigehst.
Das ist cool. Bin ja sogar hingekommen. Ich habe ihn genommen.
Ich dachte, du
But
fällst.
there is something we can do.
Dachte ich auch.
Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, don't give in to bucket propaganda.
I'm sorry, it's too late.
Ich bin schon gehuckt.
Oh no.
Bucket is law, but bucket is life. I'm sorry, Patrick.
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is
What?
great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted.
I think
It takes a lot of
lying.
humility to carry a bucket so magnificent. Stanley checked his ego and then proceeded onward.
So,
Ego.
wie kommen wir jetzt zu
Stanley
diesen
clutched the
Räumen am
bucket tightly
besten?
to his chest
Mit
and
dem blauen
entered
der
the
roten
door on
Tür.
his left.
I do not know.
Wo war das nochmal? Es war ja auch irgendwie im Keller. Aber ich dachte, es war rechts und dann... Also wir müssen ja eh irgendwie rechts noch weiterkommen. Weil da ist ja noch diese Figur in dem einen Ding da. Mal gucken.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was.
Vielleicht musst
Had
du
the
ohne den
bucket turned
Bucket
out to be
hingehen.
correct? Was this better than the
Ach so.
meeting room? Yes, no. Never
Achso, dass ich
mind.
mal ohne
Bucket
Bucket
was
mal wieder
wrong.
rumlaufe.
Stanley took the
Right.
door on his left
Ja,
to
kann
go
sein.
back to the meeting room.
Schauen wir mal nochmal, ob hier mal was ist.
No,
Said the bucket.
No.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo
Diese
lift,
Karte
yes.
hätte ich auch mal
Go
gerne.
there.
Das-
Go to the cargo lift.
Hey, das ist neu. Ah,
Der wird nicht damit runter. Ah,
ja, das ist definitiv neu.
Your You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler anarines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler anarines. None of us can.
Was ist das?
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track.
Kann es sein, dass wir das im richtigen Durchrun vergessen haben?
Kann sein, ich weiß aber gar nicht, ob es das gab.
Longer I study
Okay,
this
nee.
bucket,
Ja, vielleicht gab
the
es ja.
less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there? Camporata.
Was?
Auf einmal wird Spanisch oder keine Ahnung.
Spanisch für Bucket, oder?
Das wäre... Ist denn witzig? Okay, great.
Okay. Dann gehe ich jetzt einmal ohne den Bucket los und schaue, ob ich die Türen bekomme.
Already
Ja,
this was
kann ja-
uncomfortable, and
Was?
Du kannst ja auch das machen, was du gerade gemacht hast, ohne Bucket.
Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life.
Okay. That's me.
Nice.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay.
It was okay.
To get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Na.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years
Das ist
ago.
wirklich hier auch.
Und
Wer war da gerade wer?
Ich habe nichts gesehen. Aber ich habe auch kurz nicht hingeguckt.
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path. that it seemed the office had begun close. You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do.
Gesundheit.
Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
Rude.
Hat er jetzt einfach restartet, weil er traurig war?
Ja. Okay, aber also es heißt, mit Bucket ist immer
Just a step through this
zweite
door,
Version
Stanley
und ohne
thought to
Bucket
himself,
ist immer
that's
die
all I
erste
need.
Sachen.
If I can make it through
Das
this
weiß ich
door,
nicht. Es
I
kann
can
auch
make
sein,
it through them
weil
all.
du kannst da ja eigentlich nur runter, weil du diese Figur einsammeln sollst.
Meinst du?
Ich glaube.
Aber jetzt muss ich trotzdem noch mal gucken, wie komme ich zu den 2 Türen. Das muss ja irgendwie klappen.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his
War das nicht
left.
auf der anderen Seite?
Ich dachte, das war unten im Keller, wo ich mit dem...
Nee, da stirbst du einfach. Da bist du einfach gefaintet.
Da wo steht keine Buckets, wenn ich da jetzt ohne Bucket hingehe.
Aber auf der anderen Seite.
Sicher?
Coming to a staircase,
Ja.
Stanley walked upstairs to his
Das ist, wenn du
boss's
vom
office.
Cargo-Lift springst.
Scheiße, ja, das ist ja das
But
hier.
Stanley
Du
just
kannst einfach
didn't do it.
restarten.
Ja, genau.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked
Scheiße.
over his shoulder now, he
Das
would
ist
surely
schon wieder
catch them.
umgedreht.
It was only a matter of time.
Okay, also rechts. Schauen wir mal rechts.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct
Yeah,
way to the
genau.
meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Yeah.
It was okay.
No.
Ja, er hat.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his
Vor allem,
left.
wir haben ja damals auch das mit der Adventure Line hinbekommen. Das frage ich mich auch gerade.
Stanley was
Das
so
ist,
bad
wenn
at
du
following
da
directions, it's
zurückgehst
incredible he
und
wasn't
den
5
Cargo-Lift
years
nach unten
ago.
nimmst.
Ah, stimmt.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in
Würde man
someone else
Enemies
can be
auch sagen.
difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but
Das hast du
you
gestern gesagt.
all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. What? Really?
What?
I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. And there it is. The last stick of the week. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people
last
expect to be
Stiggly Wiggly,
rewarded
yeah.
for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its
So
own
happy to
reward.
find the last
I would
Stiggly
tell you
Wiggly.
that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that
This
would
is
be like a
one that I
reward,
must agree
and we
with.
can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood.
Ah, jetzt kommt das wieder.
Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked... Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. I would We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for? Here.
Da muss ich jetzt einmal noch angucken, ein bisschen.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
You don't know.
Oh.
Witty.
No, wait. Where are you going?
Ah, jetzt sieht... Nein.
Oh, no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
Oh ja.
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing. No! Oh, thank God you lived. No. No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
Wiederhole aus Spite.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me? My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along.
Sad.
But I guess that was too much to ask.
Oh.
It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours. Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Aha. Ja. So, das heißt, wir brauchen jetzt auf jeden Fall nochmal den Bucket und müssen mal in den Achievement-Raum.
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines. Those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone?
Ich wollte gerade sagen, Memory Zone war beste.
Revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Ach ja. Das hier ist einer der besten Orte.
Memory Zone.
Ja, die ist cool.
Ich liebe einfach immer noch dieses Don't forget Stanley Parallel. Good times.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain?
Ja.
We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
Seven? Davor? Ist das der Bathroom? Oh, bitte, lass da endlich was geschehen.
And here was a second Stanlerine. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around in the boss's bathroom. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways.
Come on.
Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your 3rd mini-Stan?
Oh
Can you
mein
remember?
Gott.
I know it.
Ich glaube erst im Boss Office, oder?
Hm. Jetzt.
Hey, that's exactly right. It was here, behind the boss's office. It was the 3rd one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your 3rd time doing anything.
Ah ja.
Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room. Oh well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room,
What
but
the
it's
fuck,
here
yeah.
in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
Ich kann mich an den Raum auch nicht erinnern.
This was the 5th mini-Stan, and this one was really something special. It was in the warehouse. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion.
Was?
Enjoy.
Über das.
Oh mein Gott, das ist so ein 2007er Video.
Ja. Oh no.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
8 minutes!
Wow. Ah.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
Okay.
And then there was no more, because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone.
Oh, das war abrupt.
No, I'm not
What?
done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
Lol.
Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going, I want more. And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched? Yes, I love that video.
That was a really good video.
He did it. He did a video.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room.
Ja, der ist solid.
These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have neutered the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
I think the reward is, you know, right here. Right now.
Warte mal, ein Achievement.
Das alle Collectibles?
Oh mein Gott. Play the Stanley Parable for the entire duration of a Tuesday. Das ist ein Achievement.
Oh nein.
Und du hast das jetzt?
Nein. Noch nicht.
So.
Aber das habe ich gerade gelesen, dass es das gibt.
Ich dachte, jetzt hast du etwas. What?
This was our second Figley.
Heute ist Dienstag, wäre
yes,
Dienstag
I
gewesen.
remember it too.
Scheiße.
The past is truly a wonderful thing.
Heute.
Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it, the very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figlarines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Nothing. Hey, das ist ja dieser Raum. Ach, da ist die Jump Zone.
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then, but time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more. More memories. Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one.
Ja.
And before everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember.
The 5th of September?
Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy, and I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions, he would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Die Frage ist, ob wir jetzt wirklich noch einen Run haben, aber ich glaube es nicht.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it.
Nein.
If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time. Stanley cradled the bucket in a gentle embrace, protective yet delicate, assertive yet compassionate.
So, was könnte jetzt noch fehlen?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Das mit der Tür oben beim Boss.
Ah. Oh, der Raum ist wieder normal.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket...
Aber ich kann ja einfach...
Restarten.
Da, Fuck.
Blaues Office.
Oh, ja! Star
All of his
Office, das hattest du bis jetzt noch
gone.
nicht.
Nee.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Da kannst du ein bestimmtes Ende kriegen. Also ein
Mit
so ein
Bucket oder
Special.
ohne?
Mal kurz. Ohne, also ist eigentlich egal. Aber bleib. Kannst du nicht in dem Office? Kannst du irgendwelche... Ah ja, ja! Unter the whiteboard.
Dog Mode.
Klick mal. Ja.
Geil.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. Ah, Stanley's bucket, the only co-worker he would ever truly need. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager...
You did it!
Mit der Bucket. Aber gibt es dazu überhaupt die Tür, weil wir diesen Special-Raum am Anfang haben?
Wir werden sehen.
Oh, das Schild haben wir auch schon länger nicht mehr gesehen.
Kannst du die Tür aufmachen? Nö.
Ah, jetzt aber. Da ist es. Ja. Komm mit mir, Bucket. Oh, da müssen wir jetzt erstmal ein paar Runden drehen.
I bark for bucket.
Ich glaube, da hat der Bucket jetzt nichts geändert an dem Ende. Oh doch! Oh mein Gott! Oh mein Gott! Nein!
Bucket.
Ist das Stellaris-Musik? Das ist in die Richtung.
Saving the bucket. He saved the bucket.
Ja. Okay, ich glaube, jetzt haben wir eigentlich fast alle als Bucket nochmal gemacht.
All
alle
of his
Enden.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the
Ich
meeting
kann
room.
dir
Perhaps he had simply missed a
ein Dings
memo.
noch sagen.
Mit Bucket oder ohne?
Beides. Ich weiß ja nicht in welchem. Ich glaube, du musst in den Raum davor. Ist kein Bucket.
Wir haben ihn gerettet.
Bucket genommen.
Geh mal wieder zurück in den ersten Raum. Da bist du im ersten Raum. Du musst aus diesem Fenster rauskommen, aus dem ersten, glaube ich.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find
da
a
irgendwie-
trace of his co-workers.
Also aus irgendeinem Fenster kannst du raus, indem du dich auf den Tisch raufglitscht. Ich weiß noch nicht, durch welches.
Da.
Oder?
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map,
Yeah.
until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
Was?
Are you sick of this gag?
Ah, then in that case we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen.
Jetzt müssen.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to
Dann weiß ich, was du noch
go
machen
to the
kannst.
meeting
Was
room. Perhaps he had simply
Du
missed a
kannst den
memo.
Bucket nehmen. Dann kannst du zu deinem Boss's Office gehen.
And try not to lose this one too. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly
Hey.
to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here.
Ich muss mich
Stanley
ins
needed the
Bettchen
bucket's
aufmachen.
warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office
Habt
was
eine
where
gute
he
Nacht.
Gute
found
Nacht.
answers.
Radio.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Da rein.
Ja. Ja?
Ja, ich dachte mir schon, dass hier noch irgendwas sein muss, weil der nie das übersprungen hat.
To discover not an indication of any human
actually
life.
nicht im Office,
Crushed by
sondern
the
du
weight
gehst
of this
jetzt...
revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along?
Dem
Was
normalen
the
Ending.
bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Und dann kannst du dich da nämlich auch runterstürzen.
Hä?
Bei dem Tisch dann kannst du runterfallen.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead
Wenn du
through the
geradeaus
large
gehst.
door that read Mind Control Facility.
Und ich glaube entweder da oder wenn du eins drüber. Aber ich glaube, da kannst du actually runterfallen.
Leute, wann geht denn das?
Schon immer.
But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall. Now, what to do next? Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here. So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It really wasn't so bad down here, a bit cold perhaps. After some time had gone by, they installed a few shelves as well, and a sort of kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis. But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home. In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility at all. He'd never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning. It unsettled the bucket deeply. Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail. All Stanley could think about, all he could talk about, was going back, doing it over again, staying on the path. It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending. This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending. But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time.
Kannst auch ohne den Bucket noch machen, da kommt was anderes.
Oha, ernsthaft? Okay, das müssen wir noch gucken.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Ja, New Age Music ist ganz cool tatsächlich.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward, into the opened passageway.
Oh. Oh, warte mal kurz. Ah ja, passt.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Aha! You've made it to the bottom of the Mind Control Facility. Welcome! You see, back when the Stanley Parallel first launched in 2013, getting to the bottom of the Mind Control Facility was a bug that we simply didn't catch during development. And you all sent us lots of photos of it on Twitter and acted very superior about it. And you're all very, very clever. Good for you. Anyway, when it came time to update the game, we knew that we had to do something about this little goof of ours, so here you go. New content. You can call it the bottom of the mind control room ending, if that enhances your perception of the value of these updates. Isn't that what you crave? New content? Always more content, more content, more. And I'm here to give it to you. I'm here to make it seem like we really covered every nook and cranny of the game, with secrets and Easter eggs. How about this? We wrote a new piece of music just for this section. You won't hear it anywhere else in the game. It's a secret that's just for you. That's how special you are. We call this track, Good Job You've Made It to the Bottom of the Mind Control Facility. Well done.
Good job, you did it.
Oh yeah.
Good job. 3, 2, 1. Good job, you made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. You jumped on the catwalk. You should have been careful. You should have been careful.
Oh yeah.
It used to be a bug, but now it's an ending. Now it's an ending. I believe in you. I believe in your ability to cross this barrier and chase your dreams. Railings don't mean anything. Good job, you did it. 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 Good job, you did it.
Well.
So, Odalo.
Ich habe gerade nachgeguckt, ob es noch was anderes gibt, und es gibt noch
Just a step
2, glaube ich.
Mit 2 mit Eimer oder 2?
Jeweils einmal mit Eimer und einmal ohne Eimer.
This door, Stanley thought to himself, that's all I need.
Dann machen wir erst mal
If I
ohne
can
Eimer.
make it through this door, I can make it through them
Also
all.
ich bin dann auch mal...
Jo,
Adios, have a good night. Gute Besserung.
Ja.
Viel Spaß noch. Na dann, ciao.
Du gehst weiter und dann durch die rechte Tür.
Ich finde es
Stanley
nur
came
schade,
to a
dass
set of
diese
two open
komischen,
doors. This was
kaputten
not the
Endings, dass
correct
man die
way
mit
to the
Eimer nicht
meeting room,
betreten kann.
and Stanley
Das
knew
wäre
it
cool.
perfectly well.
Ja.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Aber ich
okay.
komme auch da gerade gar nicht mehr hin. Wie habe ich denn das damals gemacht?
But eager to get back to business, Stanley
Welches
took the
kaputte
first
Ending?
open door on
Dass
his
das dann
left.
alles so verglitscht aussieht und dass wir zu dem Baby
Alles
kommen.
das sind 2 unterschiedliche.
Wo lang?
Geradeaus. Und jetzt versuchst
Stanley
du, so
was
wie
so
bei der
bad at
Tür,
following directions.
den Cargo-Lift dazu zu bringen, wegzufahren, aber dass du dann noch da
It's
stehst.
incredible it wasn't 5 years ago.
Also nach vorne und ganz schnell nach hinten und so.
Oh, well, look who's got cold feet. Sorry to break it to you, Stanley, but that lift isn't coming back. You'd best either get comfortable right here on this platform, or test your luck by jumping to the floor below. You know what? Looking at it now, it's not that far to the bottom floor. I bet you can make it.
Kann ich's machen?
Ich glaube, die Konsequenz ist, dass du
I'm
springst,
sure you'll
ja,
survive
aber
the jump. Don't tell me you're scared. That's not the Stanley I know. Do it! Do it! Do it! Whoops. Looks like I was wrong. How clumsy of me.
das gleiche dann mit dem Bucket auch noch.
Der rettet mich
All
sicher.
of his co-workers were gone. What? Is Stanley, without the bucket, really Stanley at all? No. No, surely not. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. And this was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go
es gibt
somewhere
noch
else.
was.
The
Yeah.
cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Na?
Oh, well,
Okay.
look who's got cold feet. Well, from here, it looks like the only way forward is down, since the lift won't be coming back, but that's okay. You've got a bucket. Did you know that buckets are routinely used as cushioning devices?
echt?
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend.
Das ist doch was anderes.
So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
Ja, also es
Ah ja.
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something
muss man überlegen.
crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now on.
Aber ich weiß nicht, ob du das irgendwann wieder gesehen hast, wenn die Tür zu New Content wieder offen ist irgendwann. Dann musst du damit mit dem Bucket reingehen.
As Stanley lifted his bucket, he felt
Aber
a
ich
connection
glaube,
to
die war
all
bis jetzt
buckets
nie offen,
everywhere.
ne?
Nee,
Ja.
es ist dann
This
auch Glück,
adventure, he
oder?
decided, was for
Ich
all
glaube
of
schon,
them.
ja.
Aber was macht man ohne Bucket, damit man das hinbekommt, zu dem Baby zu kommen?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Du gehst
Auf jeden
durch
Fall mal
die,
rechts.
Ja, du gehst durch die rechte
This was
Tür
not
und
the
dann
correct way
gehst
to the
du
meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket
zu
calling to
den
him, telling
roten
him
und
that the
blauen
employee
Türen.
lounge was simply the place to be.
Und dann gehst du
And
die
here
ganze
it
Zeit durch die
was. Had the bucket
blaue
turned out to
Tür.
be correct? Was this
Und dann
better?
kommst du zum
No,
Baby-Game.
never mind.
Aber wie komme ich von
Bucket was
hier
wrong.
jetzt zu der roten und blauen Tür, ist die
Stanley
Frage.
took the door on his
Ja,
left
mit Bucket
to go
gar
back
nicht.
to the meeting room.
Ah, okay.
No,
Said the bucket.
Weil es ist
don't
die
go
Tür,
to the
wo man
meeting
keine
room.
Buckets
Go
mitnehmen
somewhere
darf.
else.
Ah, es muss
The
doch
cargo
klappen.
lift, yes. Go there. Go to the... Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked. No, stop. Look
Ah,
there
warte,
on the wall.
wie
You see,
kommst du
there's a
da
sign
hin?
right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a
Na
bucket?
gut, jetzt kommt wieder
I
das.
suppose that would explain a lot about your
noch
behavior
was.
up to the...
Du musst den Epilog ja noch spielen.
Den Epilog.
Ja, es war doch in seinem Zweier, wollte doch einen Epilog haben.
Ja, aber wie komme ich da hin?
Du musst das Spiel mindestens
All of
5-mal
his coworkers
restarten.
were
Also
gone.
nicht das Game restart, nicht
could it
begin
mean?
the game again, sondern
Stanley
du musst das
decided to go
Game
to the meeting
restarten.
room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ach, das ganze Spiel komplett.
Ja.
Ah, okay, da kam vorher nämlich auch schon was Neues, wo ich so Katzen- und Hundeslider machen konnte.
Ja, exactly. Und das ist wichtig für den Epilog.
Ah, ja, okay. Also einfach öfter mal neu starten. Okay, aber ich glaube, sonst haben wir ziemlich viele oder alle erwischt eigentlich.
Und
No matter how hard Stan...
doch, du hast das Out of Map, hast du noch nicht das zweite genommen?
Stimmt.
looked, he couldn't find a trace
Und das
of
kannst
his
du auch nochmal mit dem
coworkers.
Bucket machen.
Lol.
Ja.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map, until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
Du hast No gesagt, ne? Das
Well,
letzte
I
Mal.
don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want, like right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate. I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So, just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain.
Oh.
There once was a man named Stanley, who people considered so manly.
Oh.
But the truth must be told, he was not very old and was quite particularly gangly. What Stanley liked most was buttons. He pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain had long ceased to function. Which is why he is in this parable and lives an existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong and keep playing along, you too will become quite unbearable. Yes. You too will become quite unbearable.
I guess it's over.
Oh yeah. So, dann
Jetzt
schauen
noch
wir,
mit
was der
Bucket.
Bucket sagt, genau.
All of his co-workers
Das habe
were
ich auch noch
gone.
nicht gesehen.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had... What new mysteries lay in store for our bucket-loving heroes today? Let's find out.
Oh yeah.
Ja, let's.
Stanley clung the bucket to his cheek. Could his co-workers really all be gone? Yes, whispered the bucket into Stanley's ear. We've done it. We've escaped from that dull office and that pesky narrator. At last, out here in the white void, we are alone. Now, and for the first time, I can reveal to you my true self. The bucket began to tell Stanley of its life and its history, of the countless wars it witnessed, desecrating the land and lives of untold numbers of innocent humans, and the bucket's own complicity therein, of sadness and regret, and the many years it spent dwelling on the actions it might have taken to curb the madness and the decay, if only it had been stronger, of hope and redemption, and its crusade to uplift the stock of life for the common man, to manifest justice where none existed, and the bittersweet reality of time, to see one's dreams and wishes met halfway, meted out in parcels like charity, and abandoned as soon as the warm glow of inspiration begins to dim. The opportunities to do so much more. There was so much it could have done, perhaps, the bucket wondered to itself. Perhaps if it had seen its own darkness with a clearer perception. This was way too much for Stanley. What are you talking about? He screamed. You're a bucket! To this, the bucket furrowed its brow. No, said the bucket. Not since the evil wizard Gambhorata first ensnared me in his machinations as payback for the sacred amulet I stole from his treasured vaults. I was young back then and could not conceive the ramifications of... No! Stanley screamed even louder this time.
What?
This is stupid! You are a bucket! This is so stupid! Why are we even doing this? As Stanley screamed and screamed and screamed, the bucket revealed its true form, transforming into a mighty beast of untold power, its fangs glistening like...
Excuse me?
My God,
What?
Stanley, you did it. You saved us from the bucket. Thank God you already had all 12 emblems of sages and knew the incantations to summon their true power. Otherwise, we would have easily been overwhelmed by the bucket's power. I'm speechless. You've demonstrated such bravery here today. Come, let's restart the game, and we'll agree to never again go trifling with this bucket, nor the dark magic cast away inside of it.
The fuck?
Da fuck.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
Okay. Ich glaube, jetzt haben wir alle Base, also alle, die du normalen holen
Now this,
kannst.
Stanley thought to himself, this is a bucket. And indeed it was.
Ja.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest
glaub, wir haben
and
echt alle.
entered the door on his left.
Du kannst noch versuchen, mal Face Punch einzugeben, einfach nur in deine Dings.
Mit dem ohne Eimer dann, oder?
Ich weiß es nicht.
Oder muss ich da was groß schreiben?
Hier steht, in dem Chart steht nur Type Face Punch. So, I don't know. Also wirklich
Warte,
alles
mach mal
klein.
kurz ohne Eimer.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the
No.
meeting room. Perhaps he had simply
Alles
missed a memo.
zusammen, ne?
Ja, mit irgendwas groß oder alles klein?
Alles klein.
Base,
Alle.
Punch.
Okay. Ich weiß nicht, ob das irgendwo bestimmt, ob das irgendwo bestimmt eingeben muss, I don't know.
Mal kurz schauen.
Gibt's eine Cheat Console?
Ah, kann sein, dass ich alles groß schreiben muss. Ja. Warte mal.
Finally, yes, the bucket. Yes. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Da passiert, das sind dann nur die Logos sind da von denen dann irgendwo.
Still no one was
Ach
here.
so.
Stanley needed the
Beziehungsweise
bucket's warmth and
so
comfort
helle
now
Räume
more
außerhalb
than
haben dann
ever.
irgendeine Textur,
Perhaps
aber
his
sehen wir es
boss's
dann nicht.
office was coming to a staircase.
Ah, okay.
Stanley
Oh,
and
nee,
the
das
bucket
aber
walked
nicht.
upstairs to the boss's office.
Ich habe nur gesehen, dass es halt in dem Chart war. Ich wusste nicht, was es ist. Und anscheinend kannst du ein Cheat-Menü aufmachen. Ich weiß noch nicht wie.
Mal gucken. Wo habe ich denn diese Taste überhaupt? Diese Welle.
Die Tilde, meinst du? Die ist bei uns neben Enter, glaube ich.
Ah, da. Hat's jetzt aber nichts gemacht. Ach so, nee, da muss ich, auch wenn ich das Spiel starte, erst noch Konsole eingeben.
Ach so. Okay. Ich meine, das ist nicht wichtig, da kriegst du nur Dings. Dialog. Das einzige Ende, was noch fehlt, ist, glaube ich, der Epilog.
Ja, jetzt warte mal kurz, ich muss nochmal ganz kurz schnell mal.
Welcome back.
Ja, schauen wir mal kurz. Weil der Epilog ist ja dann quasi danach dann, also müsste ich ja öfter starten.
5-mal, wenn ich das richtig gesehen habe. Also insgesamt musst du 5-mal restarten.
Ja.
Einmal hast du ja sowieso schon restartet, also.
Was ist denn das Powerful Ending?
Ja, das ist, wenn du in den
Ach.
Tod springst. Right?
Mhm.
Ich habe so ein bisschen versucht, einen Überblick zu behalten. Was du schon gemacht hast und was du nicht gemacht hast.
Ah, okay, es gibt noch ein Ending mit der Cheat-Console, das.
Ist das echt ein Ende? Weil das,
Ja,
also bei
das
mir ist
Serious
es ein.
Ending steht hier im Wiki.
Aber bei mir ist es nur so ein Orange, so das heißt, es ist nur ein Special.
Ach so, okay, Orange ist es ja auch, ja.
Ich weiß halt nur nicht, ob das. Weil die roten sind, glaube ich, Sachen, die wirklich resetten. Oder wo du gezwungen bist zu resetten.
Wir können ja mal kurz das noch anschauen, einfach mal.
Sure.
So, mal kurz. Ich muss ja da ganz rausquitten, gell? Wahrscheinlich.
Ja, ich glaube. Musst du den Stream dann wieder starten.
Oh ja, stimmt.
Ja, thank you. Und ich weiß nicht, deine Aufnahme eventuell auch, wenn.
Habe ich gerade geguckt, dass die weiterläuft.
Okay.
Siehst du es schon? Ja, oder?
Siehst du? Does anyone truly know irgendwas?
Mhm. Hm. Hä. Ah,
Ah ja. Oh, ja.
oh.
Ein
das-
Bürostuhl hat überlebt.
Das ist doch schön.
Convenient.
Schönes Feuer, ey.
Cozy hier.
Ja, auch cool animiert tatsächlich. Oh. Bürostühle.
Mhm.
Oha. Oh, der Raum.
It's the memory zone.
Oh. Die hat's zerlegt.
Aber
Was
nicht
ist das?
so wie. Ist das der Escape Pod?
Ja, oder? So ein bisschen. Schauen wir mal in die Zone. Jetzt ist es ein Horror-Game.
Ja, wollte gerade sagen, jetzt ist ein bisschen creepy.
Oh,
Cookies Blog. Ha.
Beleidigung.
Sag doch nicht, das Hole war schlecht, das Hole war Giga.
Das Hole war eins der besten.
True.
Das war geil. Oh. Achso, nicht.
Jim. Jim.
Oh ja.
Ich weiß, dass es da einen gibt, der nicht Jim sagt. Ich weiß nicht, ob es bei dem ist. Es gibt die noch häufiger, dass sie rumliegen.
Oh, was? Schade. Naja, gut. Hehe.
Stanley.
Yay.
Endlich. Unser
Ui.
eigener. Ui, hübsch. Oh, oh
Wie viel
ja.
wir einfach schon haben.
Alles.
Lol. Mhm. Thank you for enjoying your content.
No props.
Oh.
Oh, oh. Das solltest du also machen.
The Final Doctor.
Ich kann jetzt noch eins von vorne.
Achso.
The Final Sequel. The Final Content.
Final Octopus.
The Final Octopus. Ah, okay. Hätte ich jetzt nicht gewählt, aber ist okay, wenn du das machen willst. Great.
Hehehe. Oh. Nehmen wir mal irgendwas in die Richtung.
20. Confirm. You're welcome.
Oh. Ein Oktopus.
Beep, beep.
Aber wie komme ich jetzt zu dieser Achievement-Maschine oder war das nur ein Scherz?
Nee, das stimmt schon. Ich glaube, jetzt ist die Tür wieder offen.
Mit Eimer.
Ja.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. One man, one bucket. One chance to seize their destiny together.
Oh, oh.
Jetzt ist der Bucket einfach weg. Das wäre. Nee.
Nee. Ich weiß, dass es da 2 Sachen gibt.
Oh, er muss es ja jetzt mit Bucket im Bucket.
You see,
Da gibt es sicher
Stanley,
sowas
I've been
Ähnliches.
reflecting on the Stanley Parallel and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parallel was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
Ja.
Ja.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Calling it the Stanley Parallel 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Geht zum Bucket. Such den Bucket. Der war nach da oben, glaube ich. Du kannst auch zum Achievement erstmal gehen.
Ja. Erstmal das.
Free new and easy achievement.
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that. As you can see, the machine is not working yet since... What? Wait. What in the holy hell is going on? You got the achievement? Why did the machine work? Stanley, I didn't fix it. I didn't do anything to it. I swear, it was broken just a second ago. Who fixed it? Is someone here? Are we being watched? Oh, God. Composure, composure. Yes, as you can see, the machine is working as normal, as I intended. It truly speaks to the awe-inspiring magic of the Stanley Parable 2. Breathe. Just breathe.
He's freaking out.
Ja. Dann gehen wir mal zum Eimer mit dem Eimer. Mit dem Eimer ins Loch, das wird sicher auch cool.
Ich meine, du warst beim Eimer schon im Loch.
What other
Du hast zuerst
exhibits
den
have we
Eimer
seen
geholt
yet?
und dann warst du im Loch.
Ah. Wo war jetzt nochmal? Das war da durch.
Wait, there are
Nicht
two
da?
buckets here.
Ach
How
so,
did you get a
hä?
second bucket? Oh no, the warmth and comfort of a
ist gar
single
kein
bucket
Bucket,
is
oder?
already so great,
Doch, doch.
so intoxicatingly
Ach so.
wonderful. With two buckets, there's no telling. Stanley, can you still hear me? Are you with me? Stanley! Oh, thank God, I didn't lose you,
what
Stanley.
the-
The power of two buckets was too much. I had to destroy both of them.
Nein.
I know how much the bucket meant to you.
Ja.
But I couldn't take the risk. I hope one day you can forgive me.
Oh.
Never.
Mein Bucket.
He's gone now. I'm sorry.
Funktioniert der Button dann jetzt?
Ich glaube nicht. Ich glaube, der sagt immer noch nur Jim.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and... Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim.
Jim.
Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button.
Jetzt haben wir das
Otherwise,
auch nicht
it's
gemacht.
just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim.
Jim.
All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on?
Aww.
Jim.
See, if you'd only played along, that would have been your name the button says, but no.
Jim.
Instead,
Jim.
oh, I can't even think about
Jim.
it. I'm taking
Jim.
the Jim button away.
Tja.
Jim.
Jim. Okay.
So.
Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable 2. They would appreciate what I've created here.
Jetzt noch was?
Weiß ich gerade gar nicht. Ich habe keinen Eimer mehr. Vielleicht kann ich jetzt hier mal die Deko ändern.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration. like balloons. But I'm undecided on get well someday and happy 12th birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it is. Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on.
Nochmal einmal das Collectible mitnehmen. Dann haben wir 27.
Oh. Warte, you've been here already.
Oh. Dann nochmal zum Loch hier.
Wenn es offen ist.
Oh,
kann
ja.
auch so sein.
Müsste da nicht mittlerweile das fast unendliche Loch stehen, oder wie das dann umbenannt hat?
True.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right.
Oh yeah.
Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for... You see? Isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things. Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem.
No.
Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready. Great. Now, I'm very excited to... Oh, for heaven... You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there, goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time?
Yeah.
I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability in marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of... How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, Who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on. Is the, teleport button not working? You sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment. Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
Aber bis jetzt ist schön und so, aber Banger kommt ja noch. No! Okay. What is happening?
Mal schauen, ob wir noch was Neues finden. Ah!
Okay. Okay,
durch.
jetzt hast du jetzt durch.
Ah, da auch.
Da bist du auch durch. Dann mach Change Your Perception weiter.
Stanley? Stanley!
Ah, da bist du jetzt auch
Stanley!
schon durch.
Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed
did
off
everything.
there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
Was ist eigentlich dieses Tudelpip?
Was?
Was ist eigentlich dieses Tudelpip?
Wahrscheinlich irgendwie eine Verabschiedung, I guess.
So, ich glaube, dann haben wir jetzt eigentlich alles gemacht.
Ja, I think so too. Great one.
Ja. The Stanley Parallel 2. Das ist doch ein guter Endscreen.
Es war fun!